Taylor Swift released The Life of a Showgirl a little over a week ago now, and the response has been interesting. Now, this is the first time that I've experienced the release, the debut of a new Taylor Swift album as somebody who would now call themselves a fan, a Swiftie. And it's been a fun and enjoyable experience, but it's also been really confusing. As an album, I enjoy it. I really like this album. It's been a whole lot of fun to listen to. But there's been a whole lot of discussion around the album, and that's what I'm very confused by. So somebody suggested that I check out this interview with a couple of journalists who also happen to be fans of varying degrees, that maybe we'll dive into a little bit more of the backlash, some of the ideas and concepts around the album, and I figured it'd be fun to check that out and share that with you. So let's check out this interview.
About Life of a Showgirl on the main show, and I said we're going to have a longer conversation. And so we're going to have this longer conversation now with three of my esteemed CBS colleagues, all PhD level scholars in the life, the lyrics, the incredible popular culture phenomenon that is Taylor Swift. And I'm going to have them introduce.
I mean, I got to say, in order to be incredibly well versed in the world of Taylor Swift, it really could be a PhD level sort of thing. There's just so much there. I remember I have a degree in anthropology, and when I was first looking at grad schools, I remember there was a big discussion about there was a school that offered a master's and I think a PhD level program in Buffy studies, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer studies. And I figure if they can offer Buffy studies, somebody somewhere can offer a PhD track in Taylor studies, right?
I've heard enough about Life of a Showgirl to find out this is a light, bouncy, sort of comic or comically inspired Taylor Swift album. So I'm trying to be a little more informal.
Got to show us socks.
The only part of my...
and, you know, when you've been with Taylor that long, or she's been with you that long, you really get to know her. But 2006 is when Taylor's debut album, Taylor Swift, came out, which is, you know, when I was introduced to Taylor. I was in middle school hearing rumblings of this Taylor Swift, you know, like, oh, she's got these really...
I mean, I got to give it to fans who have been there from the beginning. It seems like there have been multiple jumping off points for a lot of people over the course of her career, her discography, 1989 being a big one of those. And then even some of the more recent Folklore, Evermore, Tortured Poets Department, a complete, just total shift in sound that it seems like some people have jumped off. And even now with Life of a Showgirl, seems like more people are jumping off. So I feel like somebody who has been there from the beginning, like that's true fandom. That's true dedication.
Since then, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, I have been to every tour of hers except Reputation. Oh, wow. I was in college and I was studying abroad, so I wasn't able to go.
That's crazy.
But I think Gabby just kind of hit the nail on the head, where she just speaks to you as a girl and as a young girl and about your experiences. I don't have a sister. I don't have an older sister, but often going through the phases of life that you do, issues with friends, breakups, issues at work, there's always a Taylor Swift song. There's literally one.
Apropos of nothing, I've never seen this show before. I don't know what the takeout is, but why does he have a rack of ties back there?
It was really the 1989 album that kind of made it a family affair for our family. It was when my kids had just started elementary school, and I remember so vividly driving to school every day with them in the back seat, and all of us just like belting out Shake It Off and Blank Space and Style at the top of our lungs. And so
I gotta say, that is 1989 is the car sing-along favorite in my family too. Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Style, like she said. Put those on in the car. Both of my kids in the backseat. My daughter, who is absolutely a Taylor Swift fan, but even my 10-year-old son, who pretends like he's not. You'll catch him singing in the back seat with 1989.
But lest you listening in the podcast world or watching on YouTube think, oh, okay, this is just stuntery on Major's part to try to jump on the Taylor Swift bandwagon. I'm not trying to jump on the Taylor Swift bandwagon, but I do believe life is about enthusiasm.
I've heard that quite a bit. People who accuse other people of just jumping on the Taylor Swift bandwagon, both for and against her, whether you're jumping on because you're a fan and you want to be a part of it, or you're a hater and you want to be a part of it. I not to say that that doesn't exist, that there aren't people out there who that is their entire motive, is to be to just capitalize on the moment for their own selfish interests. But I feel like that kind of misses the point of how important it is to be a part of a culturally relevant conversation. I think where we miss the mark, generally speaking, as a society right now, is that we make that culturally relevant conversation rather toxic and not a very productive conversation. I do think, whether you're a fan or not, whether you're just coming into this because this conversation is happening or because you actually have a vested interest in it, I think we all want to be a part of a culturally relevant conversation. And I think just accusing people of being bandwagoners is pretty disingenuous. I mean, that's not what he was saying here. I don't think. We'd get a little bit further into it, but I mean, people just want to be a part of a conversation sometimes.
There are those who study this and who say enthusiasm is worth 25 IQ points in life. And Taylor Swift creates enthusiasm.
Yep.
She genuinely does. I could go through all of the various metrics that show she is a global and super important, numerically defined pop star, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about enthusiasm that crosses over into how people talk about and enjoy their lives, which is ultimately what creates longevity. And if anything can be said about Taylor Swift, she has a kind of longevity that she's earned. You can see it in album sales, downloads, and all those other things. But I know you all are enthusiastic about it. And I believe things that create enthusiasm are worth discussing and harnessing. And that's why I want you to be here. Because you're all in on it.
Yeah.
And it's been a family experience. It's been an individual experience. It's been a life experience. And that seems to me to be something worth keying on. And this album is already a record breaker, a shattering success.
Yeah, again, people want to be involved with a culturally relevant conversation. I think it's cool that he's bringing these people together to have that conversation. That's interesting to me.
Commercial.
It is. 4 million copies and counting. Hard copies of her album, which is a new record. Her lyrics are specific, but they're also universal. And so
that's always been my favorite thing about her lyricism, in my experience of going through her albums, is that, yeah, a lot of times it's pretty clear that it's about a specific situation in her life and she's describing something very specific to her, but she writes it in such a way that it feels universal. It's universally relatable.
Or my friend had something like that happen to them, and that sucks you in.
Yeah, again, because even if it's not something that you have had happen to you, she writes it in such a way that it makes it that you can connect with it just because you know somebody that it's happened to. Or it has happened to you, but it happened to you 20 years ago, as in my case with a lot of this stuff. It's just so universally relatable.
I went to the movie because I was curious about it.
Did you?
I did. My wife and I went to the movie.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. And I'm like, oh, I guess I do know some of those songs. Yeah. But I had not identified them. I hadn't linked them up with Taylor Swift. So I am the most casual.
Eras Tour movie.
Yeah, the Eras Tour movie.
That's a commitment.
I'm among the most casual
That's
Swift.
a big commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that curiosity. That's where I started. I started with this whole thing with just a certain level of curiosity of wanting to experience her music as somebody who had never really listened to it. You know, part of my ambition was, again, to build that connection with my daughter, who is a big Swiftie. But a significant part of it too is just a personal curiosity, and I wish more people would just approach, not even just approach Taylor Swift, but approach music in general, approach a lot of things with just a little level of curiosity and just wanting to know more, instead of coming into it with a level of with an angle of like, I don't like this, I don't like who she is, I don't like what she represents. I'm gonna go into this looking for a reason to not like it, looking for more of a reason to hate her. Just open curiosity.
I do have 4 of the songs that I like. I mean, that I thought are really good.
Good, yeah.
And I'd like to tell you about them.
We want to hear about them.
So the first is Elizabeth Taylor. And there's a reason for that. That has nothing to do with Taylor Swift or the lyrics, but my mother, who passed away in 2014 at the age of 83, when she was young, both fortunately and unfortunately for her, she was often compared with Elizabeth Taylor. People thought she looked like Elizabeth Taylor. And there was a fortunate part of that, there was an unfortunate part of that. In the 60s and 70s, to be thought of as someone who looked like Elizabeth Taylor got you a lot of attention, some of it welcome, some of it quite unwelcome.
Sure.
And
See, and that's exactly it. She writes music that is so relatable that I couldn't have ever even imagined somebody relating to that song, Elizabeth Taylor, on this level. But she is able to reach this man in that way. It's so impressive.
And this song gave me, I don't know about you, but it gave me kind of an 80s, like, Dallas, Falcon Crest, nighttime soap opera kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, so that took me back. Maybe it's because it's about Elizabeth Taylor, but it had that vibe for me. I love that Cartier lyric. I also really...
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing of the album. Like, every song feels like a different era of showgirl, right? And definitely an 80s vibe to that.
Well, there's literally a lyric in her previous songs that talk about he was a hothouse flower to my outdoorsman, in like talking about blooming and that sort of thing. There's so much.
True Swiftie, with the ability to take a lyric from this album and relate it back to something like way previous, like that level of knowledge, that level of just knowing her lyrics and just internalizing her lyrics, like that is the PhD level Swiftie.
One of the things I like about this album, and I think Elizabeth Taylor is an example, is that she's always sung about her complicated relationship with fame and success and how it's so great for her in some ways and makes life so much more complicated in other ways. She has sung about that again and again, whether it was peace or whether it's Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, where she's recognizing she's this huge force in the music industry, but then that makes her scary and makes people run away and almost turns her into a witch in that song. Yeah. This album, she's like, yeah, I'm number one. I am, and that's a good thing. And yes, I make my money being pretty and witty, and I own it, and that's fun, and I love it. And I think that's really fun to hear as a fan. And I think part of the reason that she feels that way now is because she has a partner who is 100% behind her.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective, that point of view, because a lot of the backlash that I've seen to this album is that people have wanted to interpret it and absorb it at a very surface level, like very superficial, very top level, and not let it sit and let it and digest it. And if you look at it, and especially if you just listen to a song or two, or you skim through some of the lyrics, I guess I can see where that initial reaction or interpretation could come from, but there is so much depth to this album. As fun and dancey and upbeat as this album is, there's a whole lot of depth to it, just like there is with all of her music. And for people to disregard that, or not want to put the effort into finding that, or to write it off without understanding that that's there, or to disregard that it's there because they just don't feel like putting in the work to find that, like, she says a lot. She's saying a lot with this album, and as surface level as it may be, with like, yeah, I'm in love and Travis is the best and all of that, there's a lot going on under the surface in this album. It deserves a deeper look.
My next song is Cancelled, that I love from the album. And I like this because I think there is a silken stiletto approach to the lyrics.
Okay. Yeah, I want to hear more about that. I enjoyed Cancelled too. It seems to be one of the songs. Actually, both of these first two songs that they've talked about, Elizabeth Taylor and now Cancelled, seem to be songs that have gotten a lot of attention, negative attention especially. I've heard a lot of people talk about Cancelled as if it's, cringy and that sort of thing. Personally, I like it, and I enjoy the message of it. Again, it's her taking ownership of who she is and who she wants to be and who she wants to have in her life and why she values those people. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good song. I'm interested to see what they have to say about it.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, I just think that there's a lot of sharpness, but it's also, it's a softish song. It doesn't come on really hard.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, I think,
Okay.
carry a lot of weight.
It's so reputation coded, which is an album.
Please, help me understand.
Yeah.
What am I reading?
So,
Yeah.
so Reputation was the album she made after she had gotten canceled. And as someone like her who has been through the ringer of public opinion, she's saying, people might drop you. It's going to take a lot more for me to do that. I'm sticking by your side. You know who your friends are because they're the ones with matching scars who have been through the same thing you have been through. And
I appreciate that, and I can see how that's a good message, especially for younger people still in school and high school and that sort of thing. Public image can be one thing, but the real person, right? Like, who they are. If they're your friend, if they're truly your friend, who they are. The type of person that they are, and as much as rumors might spread and gossip might spread, who that person is. And it takes a person with integrity to stick with their friend despite whatever is going on to their public image, whether that's a international pop star like Taylor Swift or just somebody in high school who people start spreading rumors about.
And the imagery and the theme that we actually saw in the 1989 album with Shake It Off, where haters are going to hate,
Yeah.
players are going to play, I'm just going to shake, shake, shake.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that is a big connection with this album to 1989. 1989 seemed to be the first time where she was addressing the public image of herself, or at least acknowledging the public image of herself. Blank Space in particular, with the way people talked about her dating life and that sort of thing, and then Shake It Off and that sort of thing. She does that a lot in this album too, especially with this song, with Canceled, addressing the public image of herself, and I think that's a reasonable thing to do.
Third song, and I was surprised by this because I hadn't heard anyone talking about it.
Okay.
Wasn't part of the big conversation immediately upon the release, but Honey.
Yep.
And it struck me for a couple of reasons.
Yep. I like
got
that
a great
one.
tune. It's very approachable. Talk about relationship, this newfound level of trust. You could be my forever nightstand. I think that is a killer line. I think that is such a great
It
line.
is.
Very clever, super smart, and indelibly meaningful.
When that line came up, it reminded me of a line from a Spill Canvas song. It wasn't about forever, but it was about probably the end of a committed semi long term-ish relationship. And the line has just always stuck with me about my 1 night, 2 month, 3 year stand. So my forever nightstand, I don't know, just called back to that for me.
It's really romantic. And people say that this album isn't as deep. It totally is.
It really is when you go line by line on all these lines too, and the way that she's again calling things back.
Yes, exactly. This album is so much deeper than people want it to be. Than the haters. I hate the name haters, but the naysayers want it to be this superficial, vapid, shallow thing. There is a lot of depth on this.
You can say things like, "Oh, honey," and it doesn't mean, it's not endearing. It's not a term of endearment. It's kind of like a aggressive, passive-aggressive way to say, like, sit down.
Honey,
I'm about to
sweetheart,
tell
doll.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
Even as a guy, those terms make my skin crawl. Oh, sweetheart, honey, dear. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Demeaning
Darling,
in that way, and it's her saying,
Those things can all be cutting.
And I mean, I get that the song is about how a term like that, like honey, can become a term of endearment, can be sweet, can be genuine. But those terms, calling women those terms, unless it's somebody very important to you and you are using it very sincerely, nope, hate those terms.
Last one, because then I want to let you guys just run and give me all the Easter eggs and all that other stuff. Eldest daughter. And Olivia, when we did the first version of this, the short.
Again, it's interesting, the 4 songs, and I almost wonder if he did this on purpose. The 4 songs that he has chosen to talk about are songs that at least I've seen a lot of criticism for. A lot of people calling them, again, shallow and superficial and vapid, but also calling them cringy and out of touch and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is interesting.
You know, as the eldest daughter, you're the first you're the first kid in the family to get your heart broken.
Right.
You're the
To be
first
projected
kid
out into the cruel world.
You're the first daughter in the family to get cast out of the friendship group for no reason, and the whole family is learning with you how to deal with that, how to help you through it, even as a parent. So
I wasn't an eldest daughter, obviously, but I was the eldest child. I was the oldest in my family. It's me, and then I have two younger sisters, and I mean, I feel that you know, we have a joke in our family with pancakes. Nobody eats the first pancake, because the first pancake is the one that you got to figure out, like, oh, is my griddle too hot? Is it not hot enough? Is it greased just right? And the first pancake is the one that you make all your mistakes on, and the subsequent pancakes are the good ones. And you know, I've always thought about being the eldest child in that way. Like, my parents were fantastic. My parents are awesome. They did a fantastic job of raising us, but like, I was the one that they had to figure things out with. And so by the time my younger sisters came along, they had experienced some of the things through me that they could then apply to their, you know, raising and parenting of my younger sisters. That's definitely something that eldest daughter, and what she's talking about here in this interview, definitely something that I've thought a lot about. And now as a parent too, with, you know, I have two kids. My son is older than my daughter, but it's very much the same thing of, like, we are experiencing things with him that we then carry over into our daughter, and, you know, mistakes that we made and different things that we've done in different ways with him. You know, she's 3 years younger, and now she's experiencing things that he experienced a couple years ago, and we have a better understanding of how to approach them with her. Yeah, definitely relate to that.
As your kids go through these things, when it happens for the first time, you're not exactly sure how to help them through that heartbreak.
The first one with a scraped knee, psychologically or otherwise.
Yeah, and so the younger kids, they can watch and they can see, you know, what you did right, what you did wrong, so they can protect themselves a little bit. But that oldest daughter is really like the pioneer.
And even as a sibling, I wonder, it's making me think about how that is with what she was saying there. As the younger sibling, you see what the older sibling does, how the older sibling acts, what the older sibling can get away with, what they didn't get away with, so you know how to do it different. As the eldest son or daughter, you're the one that's, you know, you're kind of out there. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out, you know, what are my parents' limits? What are the things that I can get away with? What are the things that I can do? And how can I recover from them if things go wrong? Yeah.
She's not necessarily like that. Not something that comes naturally to her. She has to try. And so all I do is try, right? And so when you're looking at this song and thinking about eldest daughter,
Swiftie speaking in lyrics is just the greatest thing ever to me.
It is about her growing up, and I like how she then comes back to it at the very end. Every youngest child felt like they were raised up in the wild, but now you're home. It's clearly about Travis, right?
The beginning of the song talks about how it's so cool now to be unbothered online. You're supposed to project this aura.
Everybody's so punk on the internet. Everyone's
so punk.
unbothered till they're not.
Right, everything's savage, and I'm a bad bee, and da-da-da. My daughter said, you know, oh, those lyrics are cringy, but you know, Taylor's trying to be cringy there. She's trying to say
everybody's
that's
cutthroat
not
in the
me.
comments. Every single hot take is cold as.
And that's what I don't think people get. I've been sitting with this idea as Taylor as a very meta-modern artist, especially lyrically, a very meta-modern artist, where there's, you know, in modern art and postmodern art, you know, it kind of fluctuated between this very real sincerity and then this very, like, sarcastic cynicism and that sort of thing. And meta-modern artists kind of fuse the two, where there's still a level of irony, but that irony is used to convey sincerity. And I feel like that's what especially that section of that song is all about. You know, everybody's punk on the internet. Like, yes, it's cringy, but I think that's the irony of it. Like, that's her being a little ironic in her lyrics. Like, when, over the course of the 11 previous albums, when have you known Taylor Swift to be out of touch cringy? Like, cringy because she is genuinely unaware of how out of touch she is. Like, I can't think of an example of a time when that has happened. So to think that this now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's just so out of touch and cringy that she doesn't get it, she doesn't understand the world, it's baffling to me. The idea that she uses lyrics like that, to me, shows that she is using irony or sarcasm a little bit, and that cringiness to convey a very sincere and genuine and authentic idea. And that, to me, again, just goes back to the fact that people are seemingly unable or unwilling to look beyond the very surface level of this album.
Right. She did an interview the other day promoting the album where she said, yeah, I'm using those words ironically to say, this is how you're sort of supposed to be now.
Exactly.
But that's not natural for me.
Gabby, what's the Easter eggs of it all, of this album?
Oh, my Lord. You've put me on the spot here, Major.
Taylor said there's like...
What are the Easter eggs? I'll be interested to see what they pick out. Are they going to relate backwards to things in the past, or are they going to try and, like, anticipate future things here?
There's a couple. More than 100 just in the Fate of Ophelia video.
Music video, right?
Yeah.
I think the chorus and the line of it kind of actually, it evokes this idea of like bad blood Taylor, right? Canceled Taylor.
You know, these are really, really great songs that she wrote and recorded based on experiences she was having while performing on the Eras tour, all in the span of 2 years. Is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
Which is probably like one of the least relatable experiences I've ever.
And that's the thing of it too. There's a very well-worn path of an album cycle where the artist or band will write and record and release an album and then go on tour for that album, and then they'll finish up, they'll tour for a year, 2 years, and then they'll come home. Maybe when they're on tour, like on their tour bus, they're jotting down song ideas and they're maybe writing a little bit here and there, but then they get home from tour, they take a little bit of a break, and then they start that cycle over again. They write and record a new album, they release it, they tour, and it's a 3 to 5 year cycle. And that's why albums tend to be 3 to 5 years apart from a lot of artists, a lot of bands. She's completely blown that up in the last couple of years with the way she's released, that I can think from Lover on, the last 5 years from Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, Torture Post Department, and now this. Like, she's just completely blown that traditional cycle out of the water, and her output has been so immense and so good. It's crazy.
We were talking about this earlier. Taylor Swift only shows us what she wants us to see, right? She's very careful with her image. She's very careful with,
And that's the thing that, talking about this, her relationship with her fans, the relationship from her to her fans and her fans to her, and then this idea of, she is very in control of what she shares with the public, with her fans. It's so hard to see the fans who take it too far, who want to know more about her, be a bigger part of her life than she is willing to let fans be. It's some people take it to an uncomfortable level, and that gets to feel a little gross to me and dangerous to her.
Do you ever fear, Olivia, a decoupling between your life and Taylor Swift's life, meaning she starts writing about things that are not familiar to you any longer?
No, because I think even if she did, if there was one point where that did happen, there's so much in her catalog that you can always go
back to,
to.
right.
That there's just a
Okay, this is where this feels like a big point to me. I am coming to understand the deep level of connection that a lot of fans have with her, especially people that have been with her for a very long time, and a lot of people who have been in similar life situations as her, have grown with her over the course of her career, have grown themselves and experienced, the tough life challenges, the heartbreak, and all of those things along with her, who may still be feeling those things and going through those things, and when she releases a very upbeat, happy, poppy album. And that feeling of, I like how he said decoupling, feeling of decoupling, where she moves in a direction that you aren't in, and how jarring and difficult that could be. To that, I think, again, from the start of this journey, I'm a 40-year-old guy coming into Taylor Swift's discography from the beginning. I don't personally relate to Teardrops on My Guitar or Our Song, those earlier things. I don't personally relate to a lot of the heartbreak and that sort of thing. But it's such good music that you can't help but feel it. You can't help but be affected by it, and find those things in your past that you relate to. And if she were to move in a different direction, that doesn't scare me personally, because I've learned how to appreciate her as an artist, singing and talking about the things that she sings and talks about, even though they're not things that I personally relate to or connect with at this point in my life. She is so good at what she does that she makes you feel it anyways, and I would anticipate and expect that even if she were to move in an entirely different direction, she would still, because she's so good, because she's so talented, because she's such a high-level songwriter, she'll still find a way to make you feel connected to it if you allow her the opportunity to let that music into your life, into your heart, and into your mind, even if it's not something that on the surface level you would connect with.
Every fan knows 13 is like, key to who she is. And she starts dating number 87.
Right,
And
which is
13
100.
plus 87.
I can do that math.
Keep it 100.
Even I can do
Oh,
that.
keep it 100. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, 13 plus 87 is 100. Keep it 100. Huh.
Like if you saw that in a movie, you'd be like, "That's not."
No, we got to
believable.
strike that. We got to take that out. We got to take that out. Too convenient.
Yeah, it's too cute.
Neat.
It's
Too
so
neat.
cute. Yeah. Are you a Swiftie?
So, I would say that I am a better educated fan, and I have a core appreciation. I will never be a Swiftie. I don't.
I appreciate that. I feel like that should be the baseline of just everybody. You don't have to love her music. You don't have to be a diehard super fan. You don't have to choose to listen to her albums in your free time when you're on your own. But you have to have a base level of respect for her, because she is just that good and that worthy of a basic level of respect for her work. I appreciate that.
Livia Rinaldi, Nancy Cordes, Abby Ake, thank you so much. I just got a thing in my ear, like this very stern voice, 40 minutes. And I interpreted that in the way I've been trying to interpret Taylor Swift lyrics, like,
Yeah.
wrap it up, bro.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Oh, that was a cool interview. That was cool to hear the perspective of different people who have experienced her career at different points in their life and have connected with it in different ways. And then especially with the host there, to hear him talk about it and talk about the things that he relates to and connects to as somebody who doesn't identify themselves as a fan. That was really cool. All right, so that was That was a whole lot of fun. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for sticking around for this whole thing. I highly encourage you to go check out the full interview, uncut. Go watch that because there was a whole lot of interesting stuff that I kind of cut out here that is very worth checking out. So, yeah, great time, great interview. I appreciate you sticking around, and we'll see you next time. Music was everything to me growing up, but somehow life got in the way, and for 15 years I barely listened to anything new. Now I'm 40 and I'm diving back in, one song, one album at a time, and sharing that journey with you. Welcome to Hendy Creek.